Get it. Get it. Get it.
Hey, we always got to give 110%. Got to go out here, get this dub. Glad we were able to get it. 20-point game. Shout out Tony Pollard. My boy Zeke will be back. But yeah, you got to keep them hips loose, yo. Got to keep them hips loose.
You got to keep them hips loose if you want to win. That's for sure. What a great video of you, man, there pretending to be Dak Prescott. Welcome, everybody, to this live episode of Game Time here on the Outlaw Nation channel. We're having fun talking about week 8 in the NFL. So much going down. So much more. How can I say this? There was more deceptively good games than you thought there was going to be going into the weekend, because there were a lot of teams playing with losing records, playing teams with winning records. In fact, there was only one matchup between two teams with winning records. So you thought maybe this would be a weekend of blowouts, but it was quite the opposite. Although there were a couple, it was quite the opposite. A lot of tight games between these teams that are separated by 1 or 2 games, Winston. So we get into this middle area of the season when there's a lot of parity for sure. So we're going to get into all of that. I am the Outlaw, John Rocha, joined as always by the man who knows how to shake them hips loose, Winston A. Marshall. How are you, brother?
I'm doing good, man. I mean, it was a weekend. It was a weekend, man. Not just obviously for sports. I mean, just on the personal tip, I always feel bad for my friends, just because I deal with this myself. Bad for friends that have birthdays around Halloween.
Oh yeah,
I have the same issue having a birthday in December. People just immediately cut you off because they're worried about Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever.
Sure, of course.
So I went to everybody's birthday party and everybody's Halloween party that was a birthday party, and now I want to sleep for a very long time.
Yeah, I saw everybody's Instagram stories. I'm a dad now, sitting at home in my suburban house in San Diego, so I don't.
Are you actually a dad, or you just mean you like dad? Okay, I was like, you just not gonna tell nobody you had a baby, John Rocha? What the fuck?
I'm a daddy, but no, I think I'm here sitting in my suburban neighborhood.
That was my other costume, right? My costume on Saturday was a '90s zaddy.
Yes, you and your girlfriend Kristen. Yeah, it was so funny to see the outfits.
Bro, I had the fanny pack on. I was going out being like, all right, do you eat a snack? Do you need a snack? Okay, your lips a little chapped. Hold on, you got something on your face. Come here. All right, like just to make sure everybody was good.
That's all you guys pulling out the vouchers from the fanny pack. That was genius. Yep. It was genius. That was hilarious. So everybody, it's so fun watching my friends go out and do their Halloween stuff. It's good. There's a lot of creativity, ingenuity amongst the group of friends. I'm very, very fortunate to have so many talented and brilliant people to create some funny ass shit all over. I was watching Steph Sabraw's J-Lo with Roxy there, the stuff that they were doing. So
I missed that. I gotta go back and look at that. Yeah.
Sabraw's Insta has all her J-Lo outfits for the weekend for sure. It was a lot of fun following everybody. And we hope you all have a safe and happy Halloween tonight. But we are getting into the NFL today. We're talking about all the big games for sure, break it all down. And we're going to talk a little bit of the Kyrie Irving situation on the back half of the show. So start sending in your Streamlabs and SuperChats to support all we do here on the Outlaw Nation channel, and specifically Game Time for sure. Send them in as we go along here throughout. The Streamlabs address is right there on the screen in the middle of the graphics. I'm also going to pin it in the chat in just a second, but let's get in to the first game here, and let's start where we need to start. That's the Bills and the Packers. This was a hell of a game last night. Sunday Night Football, you look forward to seeing some good matchups, and this one did not disappoint. Stephon Diggs had a game-high 6 catches for 108 yards in a 27-17 win over the Packers, who are off to their worst start 8 games into a season under Aaron Rodgers, ever under Aaron Rodgers. That says volumes. Aaron went out there and did all this meditation stuff, grew his hair out into a mud, looked like Con Air, came back, and he was saying he was going to be a whole different person. They had let go Devontae Adams, but we're seeing what happens with a depleted receiving core that's either injured or out or isn't there, or are rookies. We're seeing the struggles that Aaron Rodgers is having. But Josh Allen, he finished 13 of 25. Only threw the ball 25 times, Winston, for 218 yards and 2 touchdowns. He did have 2 interceptions. For a while there, it seemed like they're both giving the ball back and forth to each other. It was a little weird. He did add 49 yards rushing, but in the end, led the team to a 27-17 victory with some jawing from Stephon Diggs on Jair Alexander. So what do you take away from this game? They've now beaten the Bills, have 3 MVP quarterbacks in a row, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and now Aaron Rodgers. Are we ready to say they're for real, or are we still waiting for the postseason?
With the Bills?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I've been said that this is the Bills season to lose.
Right. Okay.
I am changing my tune now. I will put them as the representative out of the AFC, but I actually think I am still. I think the Eagles, they're really worrying me. I think the Cowboys can take either one. I'll get to that, but I don't but that doesn't mean that it would be a cakewalk. We would have to
Right.
play lights out to beat either team. We could do it, but no guarantee. But specifically, I think the bigger story here, because again, everybody came into this season going, Josh Allen gonna be MVP. Bill's gonna win the motherfucking Super Bowl. Like everybody was ready for this. So anything less than what they're doing, I think, would have been really disappointing.
Yeah.
I think people would have been raising a bunch of eyebrows if they weren't doing exactly what it looks like they're doing right now.
Good point. Good point.
I think the more interesting story, and we'll talk about Tampa Bay in a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
I think the game has passed Brady and Rodgers by.
Wow.
I think that they have, and Matt Ryan as well. Flacco had a little brief flash.
Yeah, with the
but I think all that generation, I think they're done because who is holding up? Even Russell Wilson, who is technically on the younger end of that generation, can put together a couple solid drives like he did in London, but he's not looking like himself.
No.
Rodgers looked so pedestrian, man. Yeah. And so did Brady against Lamar. I genuinely think, I don't know if it's age. I know that their teams aren't as strong as they're used to having them. But like, if you're this great and you still got the sauce, you make it work. You know what I'm saying? And these guys are getting trounced multiple games in a row. Not even like we dropped a game or two and we bounced back. Brady and Rodgers have both, Brady, I want to say a 3-game losing streak, Rodgers a 4. Yep. Like, they look really bad.
Yeah, Brady having lost 5 out of the last 6, 3 in a row, you're right, and Rodgers 4 in a row here, and against teams they should beat. I don't mean the Bills. I mean other teams like my Commanders or them again, or the Bucks against the Panthers, which they got actually mollywopped by the Panthers. So you look at it, you start to wonder, you might be right here. And this is crazy because Tom Brady coming off an MVP type season last year.
And Rodgers was the MVP last year.
Rodgers was the MVP, exactly. So I mean, it's amazing what a precipitous fall that has happened here for both of them. And you know, your memory tells you, okay, they're going to figure it out. They're going to figure it out. They're going to put it together. But there may come a point of no return with both of these teams. If they take a few more losses, that's that, you know, and you start to wonder what's the deal now. And especially with Tom, you can think that this is a little more understandable with Tom because the divorce, we don't know how, she officially filed earlier last week. So you don't know how much of that is affecting him emotionally or mentally, having to figure out custody, dividing assets, all that kind of stuff. Plus, she's an incredibly beautiful supermodel. So what does that do to you? Then Bridget Moynihan is chiming in with her feelings about being left by him earlier a few years ago in their relationship. So there's a lot here swirling around Tom.
Yeah.
Plus, his receivers aren't back. His safety valves, you mentioned last episode, Gronkowski's not there. So there's a lot here that Tom is dealing with on his side emotionally and professionally. And then you look at Rodgers here, not having Devontae Adams, I think is becoming a bigger and bigger issue every week for Rodgers, dude.
What it's kind of showing is that you don't necessarily have to have the absolute best receiver in the league.
True.
If you have one of these elite guys that you have that repertoire with, that's all you need.
Yeah.
And then you fill in other solid receiving core members and things will get done. And I say that in the sense that, like, I know Mike Evans is like very, very good, but like a lot of you mainly hear from other people in the NFC South, both because they watch him, twice a year. If they don't also watch their rival games. I hear so many of them talk about how Mike Evans is actually pretty overrated.
Yeah.
Again, I would still put him in the elite category, but like I can see where people would potentially say that. Yeah. And truthfully, Brady's elite receiver was Gronk. Every time Gronk has been on that team, he's been cooking. But with Gronk being like, I'm done with the injuries, like for real this time. Maybe he shows up in the postseason if they really need him. But like, we don't see him on the horizon. Brady ain't been able to pick it up. And for Rodgers, without Devontae Adams, completely falling apart. And the thing that sucks about this, you have this two-headed beast in Jones and Dillon.
Yeah.
And you are completely wasting them because we know running backs that have a much shorter shelf life than any other position because of the hits they're taking. So I genuinely think it is proven that you have to have that receiver above all else that'll handle business, and then the rest of your core will play out. And without that, Rodgers and Brady are looking mad suspect. And at that point, you could just argue potentially health or like age.
Yeah.
Like, and then it might just be time, man.
Yeah. And you wonder if they cross that point where they've lost 8 or 9 games where it doesn't look like they're going to get into the playoffs, that you shut them down. That you shut them down and make a decision about what you're going to do. are you going to look at the future and go like, you know what? Let's shut them down. Let's let the young guys play. We're not going to get in the playoffs. Yes, it'll affect the stats, but they're where they are already. There's no need to pad the stats. Or do you shut them down and be like, you know what? We're moving on. You can find a new team to be with or go retire. I don't know. I mean, I think Green Bay, in some ways, I bet if fans would really tell you the truth at like 3 a.m. when no one is around, they're looking around the corner, they would love to move on from Rodgers. There's a shit ton of drama around Rodgers all the time. And certainly the stuff he did last season with the lying about his vaccination and trying to be cute with the fucking press about it. That's a bad situation overall. It's all that drama. What do NFL coaches tell you? Reason they didn't want to bring up Tebow, they didn't want to bring in Kaepernick, is all this idea of like, oh, we don't want drama around the team. But
and yet
Rodgers is full on drama. So I don't get the point, you know?
The other thing that I think is really interesting that someone brought up, and it kind of made me chuckle. I mean, the first one is for the Bucks, and it looks horrible. For Julio Jones to be the best receiver, if this was 2008, that's phenomenal.
Of course.
But Julio has been plagued.
Yeah.
Which I take that back. I think he got in the league around like 2010 or 2011. But either way, my point is he's been plagued with injuries for a minute. There's a reason why the Titans were happy to let him go, let him walk.
Yeah.
You know, if he's healthy, great. And if he's not,
right.
But the thing that made me laugh is Daniel Swavu said Brady tarnished his legacy and losing his wife. Florida man.
True, man. It's true. It's true.
Florida just be taking and taking and taking and taking, bro. They just be taking so much.
It's true. But I mean, we don't want to take anything away from the Bills. They handled their business at home. That is a daunting place to go play. I do not want to go play an AFC championship game in Buffalo. That crowd was like Seattle at its height when Seattle was had the boom going on and had the Russell Wilson in his prime going on. That is a intimidating stadium to play in for sure. So
let me make this clear. There's no disrespect to the Bills, but I'm not going. I said there's no disrespect to the Bills, but I'm not going to give you, a gold star for doing what you were supposed to do against a team that's not very good right now.
Yeah, it's a good point.
I expect the Bills to continue to trounce people. Yeah. And then once we get to the playoffs, when now all of a sudden there's something on the line, everyone will be like, God damn, great job. But for right now, you were supposed to beat the better team. If you go up against a tough matchup next, then by all means, if you handle your business the way you did with the Packers, then I'll be out here singing your praises all day. Like absolutely. I constantly sing the praises of the Seahawks, and we'll talk about that in a little bit because everyone was like, they're in rebuilding. Geno Smith is trash. There's no way they're doing anything. And they are dominating the NFC West and look like they might be a favorite to potentially make the NFC Championship. That's insane.
Yeah.
They deserve praise.
Dude, that would be the most incredible coaching job of Pete Carroll's career to take Geno Smith to the NFC Championship game. That would just be insane. And they are 5-3 right now, sitting at number 1 in their division for sure.
But I have thoughts about that, and when we get to Seattle, I'll go into that.
Sounds good. Justin Toner, being a good Buffalo Bills fan, said, imagine having the Bills won, but they were sloppy in the second half. That can't happen against other teams. You're right. There's a propensity of Josh Allen to feel himself a little bit. And this would unnerve me if I'm a Buffalo fan. He floats passes or he thinks he can complete certain passes. That instinct of his, that cockiness a little bit, you need it to succeed. Ask Joe Burrow. But I'm worried about, making that mistake in that critical moment in the game that could be that interception that ends up throwing all this promise down the toilet in an AFC Championship game, if they even get there. So that's the thing that I saw in that second half. I agree with Justin. It was a little shaky from Buffalo there, thinking they had the game in hand, So you hope they work on that kind of stuff for sure. Let's see. Josh Mabry says Evans has been a 1,000-yard receiver every year he's been in the league. He's currently at 577 on his 8th year. Stats don't lie, but the lack of chemistry between Evans and Brady is confusing.
Let me put it to you this way. And this is, again, I'm coming from the standpoint of somebody who is friends with diehard Saints fans. So they're going to talk shit regardless, but I pay a lot of attention to the NFC South. Mike Evans is super talented. I would never take that away from him. You were dealing with a lot of NFC South games to help pad those stats against both the Panthers and the Falcons through the run of his career. The Saints have been pretty solid. And if you look, Lattimore these last few years has had Mike Evans' number. But again, it is so easy sometimes to see those stats pad up a little bit where you still get the yardage you need, but you're not making a difference that your team is all of a sudden winning. Right. I can point to games with Gronk, with Devontae Adams, with folks that have the numbers and have the victories to back it up, and that just wasn't necessarily the Bucs. So it's not that he's not talented, but there's no reason the Bucs should be doing this bad if he's that good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That should be enough. I know the chemistry is a thing, but that should be enough that they should be more competitive this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see for sure. I like this one from Christopher Strikeleather. Winston, what's the chances Aaron Rodgers replaces Derek Carr as Las Vegas Raiders QB to reunite with Devontae Adams?
I would actually be curious because
I would do that. If there's anybody, any fan base you can go to, it would be interesting. Winston,
I for sure. And I think the thing that would be curious, I would want to know why Devontae wanted to leave. Did he just leave because he wanted money, or did he leave because he actually was done playing with Aaron Rodgers? He's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Because I think after you paid Devontae as much as you did, do you at least ask him, like, you good? Because you don't want to then take an already toxic situation in Las Vegas, and this time it's not behavioral issues, it's just them being bad. And then make it worse because now nobody really likes the QB or, whatever type stuff. But, if everybody's okay with it, why not give it a shot? Maybe it'll revive his career. It'll give the Packers a chance to reset. But what does that look like for the Packers to, for the first time in over 2 decades, not have a Hall of Fame quarterback?
Yeah, you got to move on. Bryce Love waiting in the wings to try his shot. I don't know. But I agree. When you look at Las Vegas, look, if there's anybody that can be a drama queen and get protected, if there's any organization you can go to, it's the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders fans rally around the diva aspects or the uncomfortable aspects of their players for decades. So, I mean, from Lyle Alzado to to a number of the players that have come over the last few decades, they've rallied around some of the more uncomfortable players they've had on their team. So I would not be surprised to see Aaron Rodgers kick the tires on that possibility and head over there. And I bet Devontae Adams might be singing a different tune by the end of the year. Through 8 games, he only has 512 yards receiving. So that's not a good thing for a premier level receiver. So you want to look at this situation and be like, well, where can I maybe my anger can go a little bit if I can go back to my stats, because that could lead to more wins, could lead to a better contract for me down the road as well. So we shall see. Keep sending in your Streamlabs and Super Chats, everybody. I know we've got some Streamlabs to get to, but let me get to the next game here because we're already 18 minutes into the show here. The Christian McCaffrey for the San Francisco 49ers was incredible. He threw, caught, and ran for touchdowns against the Rams here. He became the 11th player in NFL history with a rushing touchdown, a passing touchdown, and a receiving touchdown in one game. And the 49ers in the regular season continue their mastery over the Rams 4 years. The Rams have been unable to beat the 49ers in the regular season. Of course, was it last year, 2 years ago, they beat them in the NFC Championship game, but they could not beat them in the regular season. And it continued again on Sunday, 31-14. It was after the Rams had gone ahead at halftime. So pretty surprising stuff here from them. Garoppolo passed for 235 yards and 2 touchdowns. They scored 24 unanswered points to get the victory here. Matt Stafford, 187 yards. He did rush for a touchdown here, but they are under 500 for the 3rd time this year. Cooper Kupp caught 79, had a 79 yards receiving, caught a touchdown, but also went out injured. So, I mean, this makes me, this is what we talked about a couple weeks ago when we heard about the news that McCaffrey was going. This is the promise of Christian McCaffrey on the 49ers. It means Garoppolo can do even less, can mess up the game even less if you've got someone like Christian McCaffrey on your side. So what do you take away from this? Should every team in the NFC be absolutely afraid of this 49ers team now at this point after seeing this performance against the Rams?
No, because no, for 2 reasons. I mean, you should pay attention, but no, you shouldn't be afraid. You should pay attention because they are adding McCaffrey is clearly paying some dividends already, which means that they're going to be a potential threat. But I said this about the Rams a while ago. They have been constantly talking about, like, for the last, it feels like 6 years. It's been all in. We have to get this chip. Like, this is a win now team.
Right.
And they finally did it. And I don't think it's that all of a sudden now you've like, oh, and you just don't
Oh,
have
yeah,
it
you
anymore.
regressed? Yeah.
I think it was one of those situations that we were always kind of like teetering. We were
Yeah, on the
always
edge.
just right here. And we thought at first that Stafford had this full-on resurgence and like he's the guy now. I think you finally took him out of such a toxic situation. We kind of saw the peak because he was good. He wasn't like MVP good. He was just like so much better than Goff. And so you gave him a solid team and great. But think about it. You lost OBJ, which was really helping take some of that pressure off of Kupp, as well as God, who was the other receiver you had out there? Speed Demon.
More. Was it more?
Was it
Woods. Robert
Woods?
Woods. Yeah,
Woods. He got injured, but you had Woods. You had Von Miller out there helping with Aaron Donald.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you had these super pieces that were like, and you thought maybe, oh, well, you know, Vaughn might be like, he was kind of supporting. He might be like kind of done now, you know, but he went to Buffalo and look what he did to supercharge that defense, which was already good. Like Von Miller is still a monster. And so by stripping these things away, and then you don't have a run game to speak of because things have clearly blown up with Akers. And yet I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different people with rushing attempts. I mean, obviously one is Stafford and one is Kupp, but nobody got above 21 yards rushing. And I know that the Niners defense is good, but no one got above 21 yards. That's it. Like, so I think what this speaks more to is that the Rams are not the Rams of last year that literally put everything they had into one solid punch to like win, and they almost lost to the Bengals. So I think that being said, they're not out of it. We're only halfway through the season. They could potentially re-sign Odell Beckham Jr. That get somebody else. But I think the one thing that really hurt them trying to beat the Niners beyond all this, you let probably the highest prize available for trade go to your rival. And they're about to use that to trounce you. I don't see the Rams winning the other game against the Niners. Hell, I don't even see. It'll be very interesting to see which of these two teams I think makes a push to try and get that wild card spot, because I actually think the way that the Seahawks are rolling, the Seahawks might win the damn division.
The Seahawks are going to, I think the Seahawks or the 49ers win that division. I 100% think that's a possibility. From what I saw and what I've seen from the Rams all year, uneven Jekyll and Hyde team. Sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't show up. And you're like, well, I don't understand what to do with this team. And then sometimes they don't score. Like the 49ers, they swept them, right? Because they beat them 24-9 earlier this season. Or the 49ers beat them 24-9, and then they won 31-14. So they have swept the season series now. They have taken care of business against them. So they own the tiebreaker
play already.
That way.
Dude.
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
no.
Yeah. So I mean, this looks bad. And you go, okay, they beat the Falcons. They scored 31 points. They beat the Cardinals, scored 20 points. They beat the Panthers, scored 24 points. Great. But against the teams they lost, 10 points against the Bills, 9 points against the 49ers, 10 points against the Cowboys, only 14 points against the Niners again. So you look at that and you go, and then 10 points against the Cowboys, or the Cowboys. And so you look at the situation, you go, this team does not, when it's losing, it is losing. Like it isn't close. It's not like the Lions with the Dolphins, right? Like 31-27, or the Eagles with the Lions. It's bad when they lose. And so you have to wonder here, because remember, Matt Stafford, for all the greatness of him last year, I think he led the league in interceptions, or he was up there as one of the top 3 guys. So it's not like, I think you're right, Winston. It was a teetering thing. It was always on the edge. It could have gone either way. And as you very accurately pointed out, that game was in doubt, that Super Bowl, till the middle of the fourth quarter, or near the end of the fourth quarter. So it was possible to lose that. So I don't know. The Rams might even make the playoffs, to be honest.
I'll tell you what's probably happened. If we're going to be 100% honest here,
let's do it.
It is very clear, that the city of Los Angeles made the deal with the devil to try and get as many chips as they could in a short period of time, because you got the Lakers winning a chip, you got the Dodgers winning a chip. Now the Lakers have fallen completely off of a cliff. The Dodgers blew it to the Padres. And in a way that no one saw coming whatsoever. And now the Rams, after they got this ring, looking mad suspect. And I'm looking at the conference standings right here. I am at that point where I'm dead serious.
Mm-hmm.
If the Niners or the Rams make some sort of bounce back and try and catch the Seahawks, sure.
Yeah.
Looking at how the NFC East is playing, bro, only one of them has an opportunity to take that wild card spot. And even your damn Commanders are trying to make a claim for that final wild card spot, dude. Like, it's to think that the Bucks, Packers, Cardinals, Saints, Bears, Panthers, and Detroit Lions, again, early in the season, I don't see the Lions or the Panthers making a comeback, but anybody could all of a sudden go on a streak. But for the most part, if like the season ended right now, I'm trying to tell you, I'm looking at this, bro, and let's see. That's 1, 2.
Right.
Yep. And yeah, you just missed it, and the 49ers take that last spot.
Yeah.
And that's
just missed it.
You just miss it because the Niners take that last spot. I think what's your division record? You're 0-2.
What's our division record? We are 0-2 right now.
And that's the thing. And the Niners are 3-0 in their division. So you would lose the spot just because of division games.
Yeah.
But like even you're nipping at the heels of that wild card spot, bro. Like it's crazy now.
We're about to go on a run. Be careful, man. We've won 3 games in a row. Good night.
Okay.
Get ready.
All right.
Get ready, Vikings. Get ready, Kirk Cousins.
Do you want to do this to yourself, John?
No.
That's my
no. When Tyler Henneke scored, I celebrated, and then I was like, fucking mother. Sons of bitches. They're making me care. They're making me care, Winston. I know I don't want to get into it, but they're making me care, and I don't want to care, for God's sakes. Tyler Henneke or bust. All right, so we'll see what happens with the 49ers. The 49ers and the Seahawks play each other twice in the back half of the season. They're the last game of the season against each other. Do not be surprised if that 49ers Seahawks game is for the division. It's very possible, and that has happened with the NFC West before, where the last game decides the division between the 49ers and the Seahawks. So don't be surprised if that's the situation. Let's move on here to the Vikings, and then we'll swing back and answer your Streamlabs, ladies and gentlemen. So send them in now if you can. You see the address right there in the graphics. It's also pinned in the chat. The Vikings hang on for their 5th straight win here. Speaking of the Vikings taking on my Commanders next week, they top the Cardinals. Kyler Murray and the Cardinals here, 34-26. Zadarius Smith had 3 sacks to help the Vikings get that victory. Dalvin Cook rushed for a season high 111 yards and a touchdown. Kirk Cousins passed for 2 scores, and they remained unbeaten at home in Kevin O'Connell's rookie year. Kyler Murray did pass for 326 yards and a season high 3 touchdowns, which is kind of crazy. It took you the 8th week of the season to throw 3 touchdowns. And DeAndre Hopkins got himself a touchdown as well. He had 12 catches for 159 yards. And Rondale Moore had 7 catches for 92 yards, but he also threw 2 back-breaking interceptions in the second half that cost the Cardinals in this game against the Vikings. Look, the Vikings are, 6-1? Are we? Yeah. We're sleeping on this team, aren't we? Because we don't believe in Cousins. The Vikings always kind of blow it. So are we wrong here? A new coach. Is he giving them new inspiration, new life, new belief, or do you still need to see what they can do in this division and get in the playoffs and see what they can do there?
I mean, I'm trying to see who they beat. No, here, real talk. This sounds wild. I mean, when you look at it initially with the Packers, because it's the Packers, you go, oh shit, okay.
Right.
But we've seen who they are.
Right.
But most of these teams that you have beat are sub 500 teams.
Yeah. Lions, Saints, Bears, Dolphins, and then
the only team above 500 you beat is the Dolphins.
Yeah.
So cool. Good win there. But that was a Tua-less Dolphins as well, because he was, we thought he had become a zombie for Halloween.
Teddy played.
So, we literally thought he became a zombie for Halloween. So that wasn't that you didn't even play. You even play the Tua Dolphins, who I think would have beat the brakes off the Vikings personally, because Tua, in my opinion, for coming back after that injury and then balling like that, homie is in the MVP conversation for me. Maybe not for everybody else, but that's insane in my opinion.
If the team loses every game you're not playing and wins every game you're playing, I think you can start the conversation for MVP for sure.
But I would make the argument the next 3 weeks are the test of how good the Vikings truly are. You've got Washington. You got IMAX, chill, bro, chill. It was a joke, okay? It was a goddamn joke. It was a joke. I'm just teasing. I've been at the forefront. I don't even think Tua should be playing anymore. I genuinely am worried about that man's health, and I don't think he should be playing. But I apologize to anybody that I offended, but I'm sorry. But for the Vikings,
it was a nice run. It was a nice run. Yeah, go
it
ahead.
was a nice run. I canceled game time single-handedly just because I made a Halloween joke. That's fine.
And I happened to laugh.
I mean, the Vikings play your Commanders,
Yes.
who are better, get her showing off a little better than they were.
Watch out.
Not as much of a test, but then you played the Bills, arguably the team going to the Super Bowl from the AFC.
That's gonna be a good game between those two.
And then you're playing the Cowboys, whose defense is considered by a lot to be the top defense in the league, if not at least 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And we have been balling on folks right now. Like we've really been kind of showing up and showing out. And even in our losses, look pretty. Maybe not the first one of the year, but the one against the Eagles looks solid as shit. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So you've got 2 very, very good teams. And you lost to us last year with Cooper Rush at the helm, and we're out here, ready to come back with Dak. Though Cooper did a good job. So if the Vikings can win either, if not both of those games, hell, all 3, Vikings become the scariest team in the NFC outside the Eagles, and maybe even above the Eagles. Maybe. But until then, you're doing a great job. Great 6-1 way to dominate your division. Keep this train going. But again, the Lions, Saints, Bears, and then the Cardinals have nothing to really speak of. What do you want? A cookie?
Zadarius Smith was saying he's mad that no one's talking about their team. I'm like, that's a good thing. Sometimes that's a good thing. Let them not talk about you because they don't believe in you. Because, to be honest, the Vikings track record in the playoffs is not that good, especially under Kirk Cousins. So that question comes in and you're like, well, okay, good. Don't talk about us. Focus on other teams. Let us keep doing our job. And then we're going to surprise the fuck out of you by the end of the year. So for me, I'd be happy to not be talked about. Let's get ready,
I'm laughing at Ryan getting mad, maybe even above the Eagles. Bruh, come on now. Let's be honest. You have the same. You deserve your record.
You're not in the top half of our conversation because you beat a pathetic Steelers team, So.
But that's the other part that I'm saying. You're talking. You also have a sus ass schedule, bro. Like you were the 7-0 team, and you beat us, and I could give you that, and I would make the argument that's your only quality win because you beat the Lions.
Right.
You could make. I guess your other one would be the Vikings, honestly. Yeah. So I'll give you that one too. So that's 2 quality wins, but the Commanders are doing better, but y'all aren't good yet. No, the Jaguars clearly are not as good as we thought they were. The Cardinals are not good. The Steelers are damn sure not good. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that, the 2 strongest wins were the Vikings and the Cowboys, which are good 2 signature wins, but that's why I've anointed you the best team in football. What the fuck do you want from me, Ryan?
You're not going to be challenged. Here's the crazy part of it. They're not going to be challenged. I know they're the best of the rest, but you look at the Eagles schedule, the Texans, they're not going to be challenged by the Texans. The Commanders, we'll see where we'll see how we do against Minnesota, see where we're at mentally when we play you guys. Look, then you're at Indianapolis. You'll probably get a victory there. Then you're at Green Bay. But Green Bay is struggling like crazy. Then you have Tennessee, who's 5-2, to be fair, 5-2. Then you play the Giants. That's where I think that's the game that's really going to test to see where you guys are at.
That's what I'm saying. The Eagles have to deal with the Titans, the Giants twice, and then the Cowboys one more time. Those are their real challenges left. That what's really funny about this, and Ryan, I'm going to warn you, because as someone that got my spirit crushed last playoffs, that was Dallas's schedule last season. A lot of people don't realize that, but because we were so bad the year before because Dak was out, so I believe we were 4th in the division. Yeah, we got a cupcake schedule because you have a 4th place schedule. You are playing other 4th place teams from around the conference, right? So that helps pad some of those shitty ass games. You know what I mean? So you've got 4 really hard games left, I think, for the Eagles. Yeah. I truly believe you win 3 of them because I'm telling you, we taken the revenge game at home. Yeah. But I think with that being said, I expect the Eagles to lose 1 game this season with what's left.
I think they're going to lose 5.
You think they're going to lose 5 games?
Yeah, I think they're going to lose 5 games. And I'll tell you why. Because they haven't been challenged. And we'll see how they do against these Giants. And Ryan's saying the Giants got exposed. You haven't played a Seahawks team. You guys have not played a Seahawks team that is running like the way that is functioning like the way the Seahawks are functioning now. Teams know who they are in the middle of the season now. Teams are now understanding what the hell they can do, what they can't do, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to see how you guys fare against my Commanders in Philadelphia, which is probably going to be a victory for you all, but we'll see. Then we'll see what you guys do against the Packers. Aaron Rodgers could surprise you guys like crazy. I think that's a Sunday night football game or Thursday night football game. So that's going to be interesting. And then we'll see what you do against the Titans and the Giants, as Winston pointed out. So there's possibility if you ought to lose 5 of those games. There really is. This is how can I say this? This is a level Jalen hasn't been at yet. And so there are challenges to come.
I need to make sure that we remember this. I want you to I can hold the conversation for a second. I need you to go to Twitter right now. I need you to tweet out the Eagles will lose 5 games. I need you to tweet it so that this is over. If they don't lose 5 games, I will never let you I will never let it go. Okay. And I'm not even, I'm not an Eagles fan. I am far from it. You think they're going to lose 5 games? 5 games? 5. Sir.
I'm telling you.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you, 5 games. There's going to be some surprises. Please, Ryan Nelson will hold me to it. Take notes, Ryan. Ryan's got the memory of an elephant. So, Ryan, remember, write it down.
Ryan, you tweet it right now.
Yeah, you tweet
John
it.
Rocha just said, you can clip it out. John Rocha said the Eagles lose 5 games. Yeah. I need to make sure this is on record. Because we're going to forget about this. I really, really need this to be somewhere so we can talk about this when this is over. I really need to do it.
Yeah. Also, the LAFC is going to beat the Philadelphia Union in the MLS Cup next Saturday. And the Phillies, although they got that nice victory in the first game, do you remember when the Sixers beat the Lakers in that first game and Iverson stepped over Tyronn Lue? What happened after that? They lost all 4 games after that. So we'll see how these Phillies hold up. And now that the Astros have kind of woken up and realized these Phillies can beat them, how they fare over the next 3 games. So we'll see, Ryan. You might be right, but this is a great time. Either way, it's a great time to be a Philadelphia sports fan because we know it's been some tough times for Philadelphia on their side of things. If they can just figure out the Sixers, I think they'd be okay. All right. Yes, JJ Dog, you do absolutely get to troll me if they do not lose 5 games. Feel free. Now, if they lose 4 and you want to come after me, kiss my ass. But if they lose 2 or 3,
no. If they don't lose 5, I'm coming after you. You ain't got to worry about J-Dog. I will be coming for you.
Winston Aloysius Marshall will come after you. Anyway.
Aloysius. Wow.
So we'll see. Anyway, let's hit some of these Streamlabs before we move on. The Doug Developer says, I've had it with Zach Wilson. Yes, we can see his raw talent, but we cannot see any work ethic or the ability to learn and get better. Allen had the lowest completion percentage. Peyton threw the most picks, and even Brady was a game manager in his first Super Bowl year. Yeah, I hear you, but Zach, he took you to a 5-1 or 5-2 record. Then you lost here against the Patriots. He did throw a couple of stupid interceptions at home in New York, but I also think he's a kid who's still learning. He's been injured. He's had off-field problems, all that drama around his mom or his mom's friends and all that shit. Like, he's had some issues. He's still young, but the fact that he got your Jets 5 victories this early in the season, you should be so happy. That's already a win for your season. So let's see where he goes from here and learn from his mistakes. Doug, I'm sure you learn from your mistakes in your 20s when you get into your 30s. There's just differences in life. So give a little bit of patience for Zach. He might be figuring things out step by step, piece by piece.
I also make the argument that this has nothing to do with Zach. It has to do with the same thing that has been true about the Jets for a while. Y'all still have not proven that you have exercised your dumpster fire demons of an organization, bro.
True.
You are ruining players. You have done this for a minute. There's a few teams that do that. That somebody has to kind of come through and shine through it. You know what I'm saying? Because I worry about Trevor Lawrence. I don't necessarily think that Baker Mayfield was that good, but I do think that there is something to be said that the Browns kind of broke him a little bit as they were going through quarterbacks.
100%.
Like, I show me that the Jets aren't the problem before you start going on Zach Wilson, because the kid has shown some brilliance, but look what you're asking him to overcome. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Also, you got to look at the running game here. They had a total of 51 yards total against the Patriots. That's play calling, man. It's terrible that he threw those 2 interceptions, but he also threw for 355 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he averaged 8.7 yards per throw. So he can wing that ball. He can get it down there. Garrett Wilson had 115 yards, Conklin 79, Mims 76. So those guys can score. They can get it down there. The problem is that it was a mental thing, and he messed up in those 2 interceptions. He's going to learn from that. We've got a bunch of more games in the season, 9 more games, or yeah. So he's got some time to figure things out. So give him a little bit more time. Zach will be fine. In the return game in New England, if he shows up and beats these Patriots in New England like they beat him in New York, then we might be having a separate or different conversation down the road. So just have some faith. 5-3 is not bad. So that's what I would say. I mean, it's a little unsettling that you're 1-3 at home. I'll figure out your home situation. I think that's really the most important thing. So, and right, great point. And losing your running back last week to a torn ACL, that's a huge situation to overcome. So we'll see how they figure things out.
But look what he said though. It's that O lineman. Like that people don't realize, just because it's not a sexy position, how that can really F a lot of stuff up, because all of a sudden you're not able to get those runs off. Your quarterback is not protected.
Yeah.
You would be so surprised, but to some folks, it can destroy you if you lose somebody that is like the linchpin to making sure that no one's touching your most important players, you know?
And don't forget that they had a pick 6 overturned because one of their offensive linemen launched into Mac Jones. Literally just, if he had not launched, if he had just kept going forward and hit him and put his hands up, the pick 6 would have been it. That might have put the nail in the coffin for the game, but that turned things around, turning that pick 6 around, and that may have cost you in the end. And that's not Zach Wilson's fault. So I'll just throw that out there. All right, let's see here. Mike Joy says, the Bears are in full tank mode now. We just traded away our 2 best defensive players. At least the Packers suck too. Any college stars you think the Bears should tank for? I'll be honest with you, Mike. I'm not paying too much attention to college, so I don't know any defenders that they might tank for. But, I usually go to Bama or Penn State or Nebraska when we're talking about defensive players, maybe even Florida State. But I don't know any of the I don't know any of the college players that could step up here and take the positions next season. But yes, let's talk about that trade, Winston. I don't know if you saw it, but let's hit that trade real quick. This happened. The Ravens acquired Bears linebacker Roquan Smith in a trade. They traded away what do they get? They got a 2nd and 5th round pick, the Bears did in 2023, for Smith, who is right now leading the NFL with 83 tackles this season. He's got 2 interceptions and I think 3.5 sacks or 2.5 sacks. So incredible pickup for these Ravens, who might be slowly turning a corner here, because they're also getting their rookie back, who was also a defensive end who had gotten hurt during pro day. He is now coming back to play for the Ravens as well. So pretty incredible stuff here for the Ravens, shoring things up. And I think it's because they've been giving up those leads, Winston. So they want to stop that from happening. So great pickup for the Ravens, man.
They have to do it, and that's huge for the Ravens. I mean, that's a big win against Tampa Bay to kind of shore stuff back up, but also because it felt like, I'm sure Brady was genuinely being nice, but was also trolling just a little bit. That's a good way to silence that. Yeah, their issue has been giving up leads, and Lamar can't do it by himself. So if this plugs the hole in that defense, shit, bro, there's no reason that they cannot be challenging the Bengals for that division title.
Yeah. Absolutely. This is how you do it. And speaking of which, let's move on to that and keep sending in your Streamlabs SuperChats. We'll get to those after the next couple of games here. Lamar Jackson threw for 238 yards and a pair of second-half touchdowns to lead the Ravens back against the Buccaneers here for a 27-22 win this past Thursday. It gives Baltimore consecutive victories for the first time this season. Jackson completed all 8 of his passes after halftime, and the Ravens finished with 231 yards after only running the ball 7 times in the first 2 quarters. Tom Brady is riding now a 3-game losing streak, as we mentioned earlier. They're 3-5 for the 5th time in 6 games following a 2-0 start. That's their losses there. And Baltimore scored on its first 4 possessions after halftime. Never a good thing. Brady finished 26 of 44 for 325 yards. So, and no interceptions, but he was sacked 3 times. So he could still throw the ball. But there's obviously, we talked about the problems with Tampa Bay. But it feels like the Ravens are now just kind of putting it together slowly but surely, taking some hits here early in the season. Now maybe making these moves and then also seeing a little more productivity from their offensive side of the ball here. They could be rounding into shape here, as you mentioned, Winston, and challenging and winning this division. Not even challenging Cincinnati, because it's not like Cincinnati is blowing it up in terms of their record right now as well.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think that between the trade and this win, I think that the Ravens probably look like the most improved over the weekend. I think everybody else was kind of stuck on their trajectory one way or the other. Like nobody else did anything necessarily stunning.
Right.
I think the stunning thing that came out of this week was the Ravens pulling that kind of comeback. Like you said, I didn't get a chance to watch the full game, but you were saying they were kind of down at the end there and then won the victory, right?
Yeah, it came back on the Buccaneers. It looked like the Buccaneers are going to win that game, handily, and then they came back on them. So pretty situation.
So that to me is probably the biggest surprise over the weekend is to see that, because even with the Niners and Rams, again, they still have not beat them in the regular season. Like they haven't been able to do it in the regular season. So that kind of is par for the course. So, I am kind of looking at this and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, the Ravens are now a team that we need to talk about and look at because it looks like maybe they have solved their issues. But you don't know until we get to see what this new piece does and if they can keep this up. If they continue to do this and become that dominant force once again. But I think the big thing behind this game, yes, Brady still threw for 325 and a touchdown. His QBR was 27. You know what I mean? Like because it was 26 over 44 passes and 3 sacks. I know the sacks are more on the line than him. But your run game wasn't shit. Like that's not on Brady, but it is talking about this team and that Brady isn't just the answer all of a sudden again where he can just solve all the problems. This team they are a shell of themselves, man. Sitting at 3-5, still under 500, and getting worse. So,
we'll see what happens. Certainly, because it doesn't get any better for the Buccaneers in terms of their schedule. Because they were one of the top teams in the league last year, they're going to be playing some of the top teams heading into the back half of the season, and it could get a lot uglier before it gets better. And now this game next week, Buccaneers versus Rams, which looked like one you would circle on the calendar at the start of the year, now looks like whoever wins this thing maybe has a chance to get to the playoffs, and whoever doesn't
has a chance to win the wild card, the third wild card spot.
That's insane. God forbid they both tie. God forbid they tie.
Dude, think about that. The Eagles were the favorite to maybe win a wild card spot, and now they're the favorite for home field. And then the Bucks and the Rams were favored for 1 and 2, and one of them might end up in the playoffs. That's crazy.
I think it's still in play for the Buccaneers because of their schedule. Now, it's going to be a tough game against
their division.
Yeah. Well, the playoffs. I would say the playoffs. I'm not saying the division. I don't even think they're going to contend for the division. I think they contend for the playoffs.
I don't know, dude. Like, they're still, 2 games behind at most? And this division's not good.
No, it's not a good division. You're absolutely right. You're 100% right. And that's probably what's helping them because Atlanta – sitting there at 4-4 is in first place. They're only 1 game behind first place.
They're 1 game behind Tampa first place. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's, and you could say the same about the Seahawks and the 49ers. The Seahawks have been proving some shit to me that didn't make any sense. Whereas the Niners are kind of clipping at where they clip. You know what I mean? So like, I'm not blown away, but if McCaffrey keeps playing like he did this week, it only gets better. I got to worry about that. But as far as the NFC South, bro, that division is wide open.
It's up for grabs. Even the Saints are still in play because they're only 1 game behind.
Carolina's they're also 3-5. Exactly. This literally could go anyway, bro.
It's crazy. I don't know if Marcus Mariota wins a division. I'm just going to be shocked out of my fucking mind. But you look at this. So after the Rams game, they've got the Seahawks, which is no walkover. And then they have the Browns. It could possibly win that. The Saints, the 49ers, they're at San Francisco against the 49ers. Then the Bengals. Then they're at the Cardinals. Then the Panthers might be a revenge game for them. And then they're at the Falcons. Who knows if that game against the Falcons is for the fucking division? You have no idea. It's crazy to consider the possibility here with Tom Brady. So we shall see for sure what happens. And speaking of Seahawks, let's move on to that game. Seahawks toppled the Giants here as Ryan Nelson was dancing around and telling us earlier, 27-13 here to stay atop the NFC West. The Giants saw their 4-game winning streak snapped here. They go into a bye week, so they get a couple of weeks to kind of lick their wounds. And it was because the Seahawks defense, which has been coming on over the last few weeks here, corralled Saquon Barkley to a season low 53 yards on 20 carries and only 9 yards on 3 catches. Tyler Lockett, who had dropped a sure touchdown earlier in the game, caught a touchdown to make up for a 36-yard touchdown here from Geno Smith, who was 23 of 34 for 212 yards. He broke a 13-13 tie, and that kind of led to the Seahawks winning this thing. So the Giants got exposed for sure. That's a tough stadium to play in, and they were feeling it, the Seahawks fans, for sure. And you could tell that Daboll and the Giants were not ready for the kind of hammer that was coming at them. So this is a good win for the Seahawks, tough loss for the Giants, but this was the only game where two teams with winning records played each other. So what do you take away from this about both of these teams here, Winston?
I would like for you to put my the thing I just shared up on the screen real quick, if you don't mind.
Let's add it to the stream here.
Yeah. So here, check. This was Geno being asked after this game. It was the third win for the Seahawks, and his last two teams were the Chargers and the Giants.
Right.
So he had this to say at the end of the game.
The folks you said had written you off, maybe. What do you say to them?
Yeah, they wrote me off. I ain't right back though.
Yeah. Oh.
And that is the thing that I think is so spot on about this.
Right.
And I have to give Geno so much credit, is that so there's a lot of folks, and this is kind of what I was talking about. So right now, Geno is on a 1-year, $3.5 million deal, right?
That's it.
Yep. The total value of his deal is 58th amongst quarterbacks. Oof. He has a higher passer rating than Josh Allen.
Yeah.
He has a higher touchdown to interception ratio than Patrick Mahomes. He has the best completion percentage in the NFL.
Wow.
And he is sitting at 3.5 on the year because everybody just immediately wrote off Geno. And somebody else tweeted it very well. Someone on TikTok was talking about how Geno Smith is a prime example of how NFL teams are too quick to write off black quarterbacks while giving too much grace to the average white ones. And again, I don't want to take it all into like a race conversation right now, but I definitely think that that's something to be said about Geno Smith. If you gave him the time and encouragement, then he's balling out of control. Yeah, and there was
this was a tough game too. You had to grind this game out. It was 13-13 late into the second half. So yeah,
absolutely. And so what's interesting, so this this writer Chuck Mondiano, he had talked about back in 2017 how how there was a bunch of untapped potential in Geno Smith, how people weren't giving him this opportunity. Again, I know there's some Jets fans here. The Jets, being the dumpster fire of an organization they have been for a minute, they ruined this man. And instead of giving the people coming through and giving him this opportunity, he fell off. So this writer said back there, he did a breakdown of like growth and how their first few seasons went and all that kind of stuff. And they were like, well, which quarterback would you prefer, Drew Brees or Geno Smith? And everybody was like, well, why wouldn't you take Drew Brees? Obviously, you know Drew Brees is going to be. Well, the metrics of the two of them and the intangibles are actually pretty the same, and that their two young part of their careers actually are almost identical twins as far as like the things they were able to do, the intangibles, but then the loss records and people not necessarily, because remember, Drew Brees was a nobody for the Chargers that they weren't really fucking with, and then got asked by Peyton to come down to New Orleans and try and start something new to help as both the inspiration to rebuild the city, but to really go and bring that team up. And then he became Drew Brees. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think this is what we're watching with Geno, and I genuinely think that he should have been given that credit before. I'll be honest, I was one of those people on said bandwagon that, unfortunately, we're just like, well, Geno's just not good. He's just not good. But let's be honest, the Jets ruined him. The Jets ruined him, and then people treated him like trash throughout, and now he is out here demolishing people, and maybe not winning games by like 4 or 5 touchdowns, but he is making all of the right plays. He is doing all of the right stuff that needs to be done to win, and I am just so blown away by what he and that Seahawks team are doing. And his press conference up there after this game was wild, because you had his boys. You had McCaffrey, you had Lockett over here on each side of him, flanking him like bodyguards, be like, that's my quarterback, dog. You hear what he said? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
oof. That's true. That's true. So he ranks 12th right now in pass attempts, 8th in passing yards, 8th. Okay. You get into single digits, you're in elite company there. He's 5th in passing touchdowns, 5th. And he's 27th in interceptions with only 3 through 8 games of the season. 3. That's incredible. So, like you said, these are good numbers for this guy. And maybe, just maybe, he has found the right coach for him in Pete Carroll, who has been a quarterback whisperer from college into the pros. And we see how Russell is struggling like a motherfucker in Denver. That's the difference. And when you mentioned Drew Brees, don't forget Drew Brees. It was between Miami and New Orleans. They were both fighting for Drew Brees. And in the end, Miami balked at the price tag a little bit. And New Orleans said, screw it, we're going to take the chance on it. I don't think we have the Drew Brees that we got without Sean Payton as his coach. If he had gone to Miami, it could have been another Geno Smith Jets situation where he never finds the true potential and he never becomes the Drew Brees that we thought he was going to become. But under Sean Payton's coaching, it happened. So Geno Smith here under Pete Carroll, there could be similarities in these comparisons that you're making beyond what you pointed out here, Winston.
And I think you're super right about that. I think the other thing that to keep in mind is it's very rarely when someone reaches their maximum potential like that, it is just them by themselves. It is Brady having to team up with Belichick. It is Breeze having to have teamed up with Peyton. Like, I think if Tony Romo had a Belichick, a Tomlin, a somebody like that to help him and not be stuck with the clapper or not be stuck with Wade Phillips, who really proves that he's a great defensive mind, but he is not a head coach. Like, if you had given him somebody like that, I think Romo could have potentially have found the sauce to like do much more damage, maybe even have won a ring. You know what I'm saying? Again, I'm not coming for you, Haskell, but the Jets, there is a reason why a lot of the players that go up there don't look the same once they're gone. You know what I'm saying? Or they either from the standpoint of like they're fully broken and they don't recover, or they do infinitely better when they leave. That is just speaking specifically on that. And I know Geno wasn't great up there, but how do you explain this? Clearly the kid had the potential to do it, but y'all were not able to bring him out. And if anything, you made him worse. Yeah.
And look at the coaches he played for. If I remember correctly, Todd Bowles, who is right now not doing so well as the coach of the Buccaneers, Adam Gase. The less said about that clown, the better. Or I think it was Todd Bowles, because then he left in 2019, so he didn't even play for Adam Gase. So I think it was Todd Bowles and Rex Ryan. Am I right on this, Edward? Clear that up for me, because I have a feeling those are two terrible coaches. No offense to Todd Bowles. I don't think Todd Bowles is doing a great job with this team of the Buccaneers. So that's not two coaches that you necessarily want to be playing for. Plus, they didn't have great defenses and they had issues with their receivers. So I don't know. I don't think you can take that on to Geno Smith, in my opinion. So we'll see. Josh Mabry saying, when Geno got sucker punched back in 2015, that situation stays with someone. Nice to see this resurgence. That's a good point.
Absolutely, man. And I'm now I want to look real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
It looks like I'm looking at the Giants.
He was back up for the Giants. Yeah.
No, not just that. I'm just looking at the Giants in general. They've got two arguably quality wins. You may even make three with the Jaguars, sort of, but we didn't give them that credit earlier, so let's take the Jaguars out. With the Ravens, if we're saying that they've turned the corner, then beating the Ravens and the Titans, that's pretty solid. But I mean, your two major L's against these Seahawks that are deadly, and then obviously, so you know what I'm saying? Like it is. I don't think that this is a blemish on the Giants at all. I think you just came up against a buzzsaw of a team, and I think that you will, they'll continue to cook the rest of the season.
Another part of this, real quick, just before we leave the Geno Smith conversation, is you've got how can I say this? You've got a relatively fresh quarterback here under center, even though he's in his 9th season. Yeah. Because for the first season was 2013. He threw for 3,000 yards for the Jets, 12 touchdowns, 21 interceptions, then 2,500 yards this following year. And then as Josh pointed out, that sucker punch in 2015, only 265 yards. Then
I don't think I remember the sucker punch.
2016, 120. You can look it up as I'm saying this. 126 yards. 2017, 212 yards. Chargers in 2018, 8 yards. Then the Seahawks in 2020. So he's been playing in this system, learning under Carroll for 3 seasons now. Only 33 yards, 702 yards last year because Wilson had some injuries, and now fully blossoming here with almost 2,000 yards 8 weeks into the season, 13 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So there's not been a lot of wear and tear for him over the last 6 seasons. So you've got a relatively fresh quarterback without too many injuries that you can rely on here to lead your team. So, and clearly even with the shitty ass Jets, he was throwing for 3,000 yards or 2,500 yards in that situation. So we'll see how this thing turns around and how it plays out over the next few weeks of the season. But I think it's fantastic. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So it wasn't only the fact that he was sucker punched by a teammate. People were then cheering about the luck of the jaw. Jets fans rejoice at quarterback out 6 to 10 weeks.
Yeah.
That is, I get the idea that you're upset with your quarterback. But when I say like dumpster fire, like it clearly is not just the organization as far as like the coaching or the decisions made by the front office.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is lauding that someone's jaw got broken? So now that means you don't have to have him play. I agree. That is a dumpster fire situation where you would ruin someone, even if they're playing bad. You've now shattered their confidence, no pun intended, with the fact that, like that's wild. I didn't know about all of this. I just knew because I don't follow the Jets. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't know that all this happened, but that's horrible. And I'm so happy for him that genuinely he has turned that corner and found something that works. All that being said, I appreciate what the Jets are doing this year. I hope they don't do the same to Zach. Yeah. And I hope that Zach is able to be prosperous and fruitful. Nothing would make me happier than the Bills, Jets, and Dolphins thriving while the Patriots flounder. That would make me so happy. But you know what I'm saying? That's wild, dude. I wish nothing but good for Geno, and I hope that he continues this ride.
There you go. We'll see what happens for sure. Let's move on to the Dolphins, who you just mentioned here. Tua Tago. I can't even say his last name. I'm sorry. Tua aided the Dolphins here in a 31-27 win over the Lions, but had incredible amount of help from both Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Hill had 12 receptions for 188 yards. Waddle had 8 catches for 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. Right now, Hill and Waddle have 1,688 yards receiving combined, which is a Super Bowl era record for 2 teammates through the first 8 games of the season. No other 2 receivers ever since the first Super Bowl season have hit that number this early in the season combined.
Wait, what number?
The 1,688 yards receiving combined. That's pretty incredible.
Dude.
No 2 other receivers on the same team have ever done that this early in the season. Tua was 29 of 36 for 382 yards. By the way, this is only his 3rd season, and he clearly is the answer in Miami because that team is a whole nother team when they play with Tua. And they came back on this. They were losing 27-17. They came back on these Lions and took care of business. Goff was 27 of 37 for 321 yards and a touchdown. DeAndre Swift played, which really helped, and Jamal Williams was good for the Lions. But in the end, it was Tua grinding out this victory, not letting the Dolphins believe that they were going to lose, guiding them to the end zone there and taking care of business. And these are the wins you got to have against teams that are getting up to play you and get ahead in a game. Can you keep your nerve and your steely resolve and come back and win the games? We saw Joe Burrow do that a number of times last year. Mahomes doing it through the playoffs when they won their Super Bowl, going down 10, 14 points in games and coming back to win. So we're seeing Tua. He is a whole nother quarterback, a different quarterback than I've seen in the first 2 seasons from him. He looks like just a superstar quarterback in the making, man. If he doesn't suffer any more concussions, I guess I should say that.
Tua's only question mark is health. That's it.
Yeah.
That is it. There's a reason why Miami believed in him and drafted him. There's a reason he did all the things he did in college, but again, it is health.
Yeah,
he's healthy. Miami remains one of the scariest teams in football, especially to be paired with Hill and Waddle, who have also just been lights out.
And that defense, even though they didn't get 27 points, that defense has been killing it almost every week.
It's in the same way that I hate to always bring up the Cowboys. The Cowboys playing the Bears yesterday, that defense was stellar, even though they gave up 29. You know what I'm saying? Like, the score doesn't always indicate what's going on. Sometimes there's some garbage shit that happens. Sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Like, the Dolphins defense didn't do great in the beginning. You let them essentially just go rip off 4 scores. I mean, it obviously probably played a little different with field goals, but they essentially had 28 points. It's essentially 4 touchdowns. But then you locked them out for the whole second half.
Yep.
That is something to be praised. And so, the Dolphins are super scary. They're
Yeah.
definitely going to be a team that we're talking about late in the playoffs, provided Tua is healthy. The only reason they've taken some of these L's have been purely because Tua wasn't able to finish the game or to even be in the game.
Yep. I mean, you're looking at this AFC right now. The Bills, the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Dolphins, the Bengals are coming on now again. This is a scary situation. I mean, and the Titans are 5-2, but I don't really believe in the Titans that much. I don't know who's going to come out of this thing, to be honest with you. As much as we think the Bills might come out of this thing, you don't know if the Ravens picking up Roquan Smith will make a huge difference, like Von Miller did for the Rams. We don't know if the Dolphins now with Tua back, if he stays concussion free, this could be a team you don't want to play in the playoffs. Could pull some upsets here, riding high with nothing to lose, way ahead of schedule. Could be incredible. And if the Jets find a way for Zach Wilson to kind of correct some of his mistakes, the Jets could be a hard out in the playoffs as well. So it's crazy what's going on in the AFC, and it's a lot of fun to watch for sure. JMB, go ahead. What were you going to say, Winston?
No. I just think that, I'm looking at this, and I think you have, as it's laid out right now, the Bills at 6-1, the Titans at 5-2, the Chiefs at 5-2, and the Baltimore Ravens at 5-3. I think those are your actual 4 division winners. I don't necessarily see anything changing there. But then I do think that the Jets and the Dolphins take 2 spots, and then I think the Bengals take the last one. I think the Bengals aren't going to be told after going to the Super Bowl they're not going to make the playoffs. I think they take that last spot.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see tonight how they do. JMB says, in late, saw that Winston's hips don't lie and feel like the gauntlet has been thrown down. As a Latino, do we know if Rocha's don't? Give us a taste. I'm not breaking my hips for 500 yen. Are you insane?
Here's the funny thing about that, bro. You don't realize it until you start doing that exercise, how he hasn't thrown his back out.
Yeah.
Because before I did it, because people would be like, oh, you just dressed like Dak Prescott because y'all won. That's stupid. I was like, no. It's not just me wearing a jersey. Hold on. And I put on the hat, I put on the headphones, and I start doing it. And they'd be like, okay, that's actually hilarious. And then it would be over. I'd be like, God damn, I got to stop doing this shit.
It ain't easy to do. You can make fun of it, but it ain't easy to do. All right, let's move to our last game here, and that is the Cowboys. Speaking of your Cowboys here, Dak Prescott coming back even stronger this week after coming back last week from that injury. He led these Cowboys to a 49-29 victory over the Bears. They were killing the Bears, and then the Bears came back, and then they finally kind of put them to bed here late in the game here. But Dak Prescott was fantastic yet again for this team because they were up 28-7, like I said. But then the Bears came back, and then the Cowboys handled it. He threw for 2 touchdowns, ran for another score. Tony Pollard had 131 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns with Ezekiel Elliott sidelined. Justin Fields was okay, but not great in the end, and they took care of business, these Cowboys. So what do you take away from this? Just keeping the pressure on the Eagles a little bit. But, I mean, the Bears really weren't that strong. But do you think they just kind of fell asleep 28-7, the defense there, Dallas defense, even though Micah got himself his first fumble for a touchdown there? What do you think happened here with the Cowboys there letting the Bears come back?
I think it is one of those situations where your Dak's trying to get back in the groove of things, so you're not hitting, you're not firing right away. And the same thing with the defense, you're not firing right away because this is a trap game. It's very much a trap game to play against a 3-4 Bears team that hasn't looked great. They've won some games, but they haven't looked great.
Yeah.
So you're just like, whatever, we're not going to worry about it. And then once you kind of click into place, you go, all right, set it off. And these last couple of scores, again, the stats and the scores don't always tell the tale of the game.
True.
These last few scores by Chicago were garbage time scores.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like they weren't like the defense all of a sudden got bad.
Right.
It's just they just kind of were like, whatever. But I think just once again, this defense is the scariest defense in my. I have never enjoyed watching defense. Maybe the Legion of Boom from time to time, but I've never. I am in love with defensive ball now because of this. Because I think the reason why I didn't like it is anytime I thought about defense, I thought about us fucking up and then giving away a game that we almost won. To know that our defense can almost stop teams at will.
Yeah.
And then let our offense figure it out and cook after the fact. That and man, I don't think you sit Zeke. I think Zeke still needs to be the starter because of the relationship between Dak and Zeke.
Yeah.
But god damn if Tony Pollard isn't a fucking monster. And I think the best way to describe it is what Michael Irvin said. They're thunder and lightning. That Zeke is the thunder. He's the between the tackles, give you the hard rushing when you need to get a Marshawn Lynch as move, bitch. But then you let Pollard hit him with a toss and watch that motherfucker go, bro.
Yeah.
Woo.
You look good.
So good.
Sure. That's for sure. So the Cowboys get even more dangerous having a backup running back that can do that kind of damage when Ezekiel can't play. Pretty incredible. And great to see Dak back and feeling himself a little bit. And we'll see what happens with these Cowboys as we get into the next few games here, because they've got, what do they got? They got the Packers at Green Bay. So again, a game you would circle as a great back and forth, but with the Packers right now, you don't know what you're going to get. So it'll be interesting to see how they do against Green Bay. Then this Vikings team, which will be, and then the Giants. So these next 3 weeks are going to be a nice test for these Cowboys. Winston, to see where they're at on both sides of the ball, because then it becomes a little bit easier. You get Colts, Texans, Jaguars, then the Eagles, then the Titans. So those last 3 games could be interesting. Eagles at Titans, and then we play you guys in Dallas. Could be for the division. No, it won't be for the division, for God's sake.
For the
but
division.
You never know.
You think you're going to win the division? Chase Young better come back and start breaking back. So you think you're going to win the division? Sir, be happy if you get your wild card, all right? You can. Y'all 4-4. It is very within your possibility. But how dare you? How dare you disrespect these shitty-ass Eagles that are the best team in football? How dare you disrespect the #1 defense in football behind my Cowboys? How dare you disrespect Saquon Barkley's amazing resuscitation story featuring Daniel Jones just being around?
Featuring Daniel
How
Jones.
dare you?
I don't think the Eagles are the best team in football. I think the Bills are. But
you don't?
No. They're not 7-0 because of who they played. The Bills have played 3 MVP quarterbacks that beat them. That is way more status than any of 3 victories the Eagles have on their resume right now. That matters.
I still think the Eagles are the best in football, but I don't think the Browns are that far off. I mean, what the fuck? I don't think the Bills are that far off.
I think you may.
I think the Bills are literally, and to be honest with you, I take it back, John. If that's what you believe, I actually don't have a problem with that. That's literally like when Steph was having the season he was having. And LeBron was still being LeBron. If you were like, I still think LeBron got it, I can't fault you.
Let me ask you a question. If the Bills get that ball down in time and kick the field goal and beat the Dolphins by 1 point, 22-21, because it was only because time ran out.
Also undefeated.
And we're also undefeated. Would you say that the Bills were not the best team in football?
I would say the same thing. I would say the same thing that we're saying I see what you're saying as far as who they're playing.
They have beaten the Rams, Titans, Ravens, Chiefs, and Packers. Yes, they've also beaten the Steelers, which is gimme, and they only lost to the Dolphins because they couldn't get the ball placed in time to kick that field goal. So that resume is a good fucking resume when you compare it to the Eagles' resume. So for me right now, I think the Eagles are a damn good team. I don't think they're the best team in football. I think it's the Bills, the Chiefs.
Blasphemous to me.
Maybe the Eagles are 4th or 5th, like in my opinion, right now.
You think the Eagles are the 4th or 5th best team in football? Are you smoking crack cocaine? Sir, did you already have too much sugar for Halloween and you're having like some sort of old man diabetic shock that has ruined your brain? Sir, it hurts me. It hurts me to praise the Eagles like this, but are you serious?
See, I'm looking at this and the Bills, Titans, Chiefs. I wouldn't put the Titans. I would put Bills, Chiefs. And I'll be honest with you, I might put your Cowboys above the Eagles. And I'll tell you why, because you played them with Cooper Rush as a quarterback. And I think with Dak Prescott, maybe it's a whole nother ball game. And I would say the Eagles and the Vikings for me are 7-0 and 6-1. And I think both of those teams are comparable, the Eagles and the Vikings, in terms of their resumes, the teams they've beaten. And I think they've both played fantastic offense and damn good defense. But I also think they haven't really played much of the big teams in the NFL. So I got to wait to see. I'm not like Dennis Green. I'm going to crown him. You want to crown him? Go ahead and crown him. You got to wait. So I'm not trying to disrespect. I'm just saying I got to see more.
I will give you
a test sample.
I will give you that you have so far you have a bigger signature win in beating the Chiefs.
The Bills.
And that was the Bills, and that is very close with the Dolphins. Essentially, that Dolphins loss looks like what could have happened to the Eagles against the Cowboys, because we were only down by 3 at one point, and Rush was on a comeback, and then he threw a boneheaded as interception. That like changed it, and then it was just going to be out of reach after that point.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give you that, but no, I'm not going to put the Bills. I'm not going to put the Eagles that far down. That is insane.
Okay.
And I also because regardless of what we're saying about quality wins, cupcake schedule, you are still playing in the NFL. If you are undefeated in the NFL, which doesn't make sense, especially knowing you have still played teams like they still beat us, and we're arguably in that top 5, as you said. So that by itself, there is a very solid signature win there.
But not with if they had beaten you guys with Dak, in Dallas, right?
Yes, but remember, I agree, because then we're at 100%. But remember, our offense is still not the jewel of the team right now. That defense is ridiculous.
That's true.
So,
if your quarterback is throwing interceptions, bro, you're putting your defense in bad positions. So
I don't disagree. I can't do that to the
bro.
Eagles. I genuinely cannot. I cannot. They are still NFL teams. We can talk as much as we want about some teams are much easier to beat than others, but they are still NFL teams. How many times did the Jaguars last year against the Colts that were like we thought the Colts were going to be the truth, and then the Jaguars came and ruined their life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The next 5 games: Texans, Commanders, Colts, Packers, Titans, Giants. Next 6 games. If they lose 3 or 4 out of those games, what the fuck are you going to say about the Eagles now? That's the point I'm getting at.
Then I say they fell off because then I say they fell off. Right now, they are the best team in football. That is to me. I don't think that's a debate. The only one that you could possibly put in that conversation is the Bills. That doesn't mean that you don't, because I think the other thing to look at it, John, is I know part of what you're doing too is you're looking at experience and history. So like with the Chiefs, for example, yes, they're 5-2, 5-3, something like that. They are still the Chiefs that have gone to 2 Super Bowls, that their quarterbacks won an MVP. They won a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? So there's the experience on their side, and we've seen them do it before.
Right.
So to see the Eagles go from being complete trash last year to all of a sudden to do this, I know you're suspect on what's going on. Does not take away the fact that at least right now, because again, the Cardinals were that way last year, where they were on that undefeated train. If they take the Cardinals route and fall apart, well, they fell off. But the Cardinals at the time were the best team in football. They were a suspect. They were sus as fuck, but they were the best team in football.
I don't agree with you, but I hear what you're saying. I respect your point of view on this.
That's fair.
Let's hit these Streamlabs. Just Therrell has been going crazy about his $1 Streamlab. Therrell, let me read it. Therrell underscore unfiction says, okay, this weekend, Giants and the Cowboys have a bye there. Does this mean there is no drama for Winston and Skip Williams this weekend? Philly versus Astro game 3. Who wins? All right, Therrell, I read your Streamlab that you've been going crazy about. Phillies versus Astros game 3. I think the Astros win. Absolutely. I don't know what drama and Skip Williams means. What does that mean?
Maybe Skip Bayless.
Skip Bayless. You trying to say Skip Bayless, Therrell?
Oh, I don't know.
Going crazy for his $1 and he doesn't even get this thing correct. All right. Anyway.
I mean, no Cowboys playing, I think, is good for me. I need a break.
Yeah.
I love seeing them playing. I'm not the edge of my seat, but I just need. It'll be nice to have a weekend to not worry about football. I can just take a break.
Do we take a break too? Did the Commanders take a break? No.
I don't know when your bye is.
When's our bye? We play 11-6. We do play next week. We play the Vikings next week. I don't think we have a bye because we're an Iron Horse team. So,
wow.
Maybe we already had our bye.
Wow. So that's why the world is out to get you. Okay, got it. Jesus Christ. I give the Phillies this next game.
You do? Okay. So our bye is between the Giants games. So we play the Giants at home, or in New York rather, then take a bye week, then play the Giants.
Then you come back and play them again? That sounds stupid. Why would you do
dumb.
that? That's the dumbest scheduling, I swear.
Goodell, you ass. God damn it. Ryan Nelson says, can't stand this, but I thought you were dancing in the rain. So which is it? Can you not stand it or dance in the rain? Which is it, Ryan? God damn it. Let's see. Eric Kirby asked us a question. I don't know if you want to get into this.
What happened?
He said, I know you guys don't watch college football, but did you see that brawl between Michigan and Michigan State after the game in the tunnel? I did see it. I almost tweeted it out, but then I'm trying to kind of stay away from too much drama Twitter, especially now that what's his face has bought the fucking thing. So I'm trying to stay out of it. But there was a brawl here, and I'll show it, Winston, if you want to watch it, because if you haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it.
Michigan State players. There was a Michigan player that came in after they lost, after Michigan State got beat by Michigan. There's a Michigan player that came in, and these Michigan State players surrounded him and essentially administered a beatdown, which is a little unsettling. So you see here, if you right here, you see them like he's right there, and he doesn't even have his helmet on or anything like that, and he's just getting absolutely
what the fuck
destroyed by these guys. Now there's been other reports coming out because there's another piece of footage of this that ESPN has. That's about a 4.5-minute footage, and you can see that there were another Michigan player that was involved. They were a little bit of taunting, talking shit because they had won, and then they just kind of converge on one of them. Both of them have suffered injuries, like facial injuries and whatever. Harbaugh, the coach for Michigan, is asking for criminal charges being brought against these guys. 4 of the players have been suspended by the Michigan State University. So this is an ugly look. And I was really pissed because the original video, I can't remember, guys, a reporter from Michigan State recorded the video and put it up. A Fox News analyst, digital person was like, can we take the video so we can play it on all Fox News? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, because you just want to push racism against a black man and young black man and want to say they're all angry. So it's an ugly look. It's a sad situation. And it's unfortunate, but this should not be happening in college football. I mean, that was essentially a beatdown, and they were all wearing their helmets, which it makes it look even worse, you know?
Yeah. That is super sad and like frustrating. There's, in my mind, there's nothing that could have been like said or done that would like justify any of that. Like I'm of the mindset that like throwing hands like that is because someone is like threatened. You know what I'm saying? Like something like that. And that's disgusting, man. That fucking, especially that group beatdown. That always bothers me.
That's the look, man. It's not a good look.
Again, if someone's in danger, like if someone's like attacking, say like my sister, and I rush to her defense, and like my boys come and help, and we're, you know, that's different. But in this case, it literally looks like one player is there by himself, and they beat the brakes off him. That's not cool at all.
Yeah. They were taunting. He was even if he was taunting. But I also think this is a problem with Michigan State. And because I was doing some research about this yesterday, reading about all these things, because apparently Penn State was complaining about this as well in the tunnel, that the tunnel it allows both teams to go down. That's a big mistake. There should be a visitors tunnel and a home tunnel so you don't have these problems, or you keep one team on the field until the entire team goes down the tunnel, goes into the locker room, and then the other team goes down. You should not be mixing this stuff up after a game. Tensions are high. Emotions are high. These are young teenagers or kids or people in their early 20s. Emotions get the best of you, and all of you judging them, take a look at yourself and some of the shit you pulled in your 20s or in your late teens. You just get caught up in the emotions sometimes. If you're a competitor, someone comes in talking shit, and you just get mad. And so you might not have the emotional vocabulary to deal with this kind of stuff, the emotional learning to deal with. So you don't want to put these kids in that kind of position, especially now if there's going to be criminal charges. Then in these moment of passion, you kind of get involved and could end up going to jail or paying a big fine or getting a blemish on your record that could affect your employment down the road if you don't make it in the NFL. So,
oh shit, my commercial came out.
Your commercial? You have a commercial?
Yeah, I did a Dairy Queen commercial. Someone just tweeted at me the commercial.
Nice.
Oh, that's fire.
There you go.
It's a good Monday. Look, you want to see it?
Get that money. No, because we'll get it in trouble. So no. I'll take a look at it though, because I will absolutely take a look at it. All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll jump into the rest of the NFL, and then jump into the Kyrie Irving story as well. Right after this. All right, let's get into the rest of the NFL real quick. Keep sending in your Streamlabs super chats, and we got 130 you all watching us right now. Thank you so much. Please hit that like button on this video as you're watching. If you're watching later, hit that like button and leave a comment down below for Winston and I. Let us know what you think about everything that happened here in the NFL. All right, Jalen Hurts, as we said, led the Eagles here along with AJ Brown here. 3 touchdown passes to Brown. They beat the Eagles the Steelers 35-13 to stay undefeated at 7-0. Bill Belichick passed to George Halas finally in his victory over these Jets, which we talked about earlier, 27-17. The Broncos beat the Jaguars in London to snap a losing streak with Russell Wilson leading 2 go-ahead scoring drives in the second half. The Commanders, with their offense revived, used Tyler Heineke's 1-yard quarterback sneak with 22 seconds left to beat the Colts 17-16. Ruining Sam Erlinger's rookie debut. I don't want to say the field goal kicker coup for the Falcons kicked a 41-yard field goal.
There's Young Ho in this house.
Young Ho Koo. Okay, Young Ho Koo booted a 41-yard field goal in overtime to lead the Falcons to the victory over the Panthers after DJ Moore caught an incredible touchdown and then celebrated too much, which caused them to push the marker back, or for Pinheiro to kick the extra point, and Pinheiro missed the extra point, then missed a field goal attempt in overtime, and eventually Koo came in and said, "Let me show you how it's done," and the Falcons won this thing. The Saints beat the Raiders 24-0, blanked the Raiders 24-0 behind Alvin Kamara's 3 touchdowns, and Derrick Henry ran for 219 yards and 2 touchdowns as the Titans beat the Texans here only 17-10, but it was the debut of Malik Willis coming in for Ryan Tannehill to lead the Titans here. So which one stands out for you? Which one do you want to talk about? I know we talked about a couple of these already. So is there one you want to kind of hit on before we move on to the NBA stuff?
Absolutely. I want to talk about my matchup again, Debo Mind Control versus Allison's team, sitting at a current score of 206.50 versus 108.26. It's a complete throwdown. Like Tom Brady didn't do very well, but DeAndre Hopkins with 33.9 points. You had AJ Brown with 39.6 points. Alvin Kamara with 42.8 points. Derrick Henry with 35.8 points. Tyler Hockenson with 11. You had Devontae Smith didn't do so hot because AJ Brown took all the passes. Yeah. Obviously, Young Ho in this house with 14. And then Jacksonville sitting at 5. And shit, man, we even left the Jacksonville running back T. Etney Jr. sitting on the bench. A lot of points there. Even Kyle Pitts went off for us. He doesn't normally do that. It was a great. Kyle Pitts is normally trash, but he had 19 points. It was a great day for Debo Mind Control because Debo Samuel is one of our receivers on the team. He's obviously out with an injury right now.
Yeah.
But Debo Mind Control absolutely whooping ass this week. Congratulations to their coach, Mr. Winston A. Marshall. I heard that he is quite the man.
So instead of talking about you want to talk about your fantasy teams.
I mean, what is there left to say? You don't think the Eagles are the best team in football?
Yeah.
The Patriots beating the Jets. I mean, look, the Jets being the better team right now, it is what it is because Belichick just kind of has the number of the Jets. He always have. Good for him for passing. Congratulations for passing Hollis.
They have beat him 13 straight times. 13.
I mean, it says something. It says something. The Broncos, I think for Russell Wilson to get away with all those goddamn high knees and stretches he did for 8 hours on a flight, he better have won that fucking game. Good for you beating the Colts. Not a very good team. Young Ho, good for you as well for bringing it to the winning it in OT. Yeah. DJ Moore's a dumbass for taunting like that. Kamara is a monster. We knew that, and the Raiders suck. And then Derrick Henry is back to being Derrick Henry. I just hope he stays healthy enough to continue to do it because I need him to do that for my team. What else do you want to talk about?
I'll say this for my Commanders winning 3 or 4 in a row. It's great. It's nice. It's a good feeling, but we're still making it close against teams with rookie quarterbacks who are starting their first game. The fact that we almost lost this game is just kind of heartbreaking on so many levels, but we got the victory and we'll see what happens going forward. I know Tyler Heineke is not the best quarterback, and maybe that pick six he threw against Green Bay kind of woke him up because he's been a completely different quarterback since that incident in the first half last week. So who knows? Maybe he's a guy that's going to lead us to some victories and shock some people, and maybe we'll sneak into the wild card. But I don't think Wentz is the answer in any way, shape, or form. It's clear the guy's cooked mentally, and we should not be following him. Although Tyler's not going to be one that's going to lead us to a lot of victories. I don't believe. I just think Carson Wentz is not the way to go. So that's what I would say overall for that situation. And as far as the I don't know what we have in the Broncos, but I guess we'll see in the next few weeks because I don't know what you've got in this. And Atlanta is one of these stories that you just are going to follow and see what happens because they clearly have no problem putting points on the board. And neither does Carolina, it seems like. So this is going to be interesting to see, as you said, how this NFC South shakes out. Because now with the Saints go winning 24-9, Kamara basically yelling at his teammates going, quit playing like shit. We need to win this fucking game. Let's go. Maybe Kamara is the one over Dalton, over Jameis, over whoever who needs to come in and be like, I'm going to grab the scruff of this team, this team by the scruff of its neck and yank it into some fucking victories. And we've seen running backs do that. So why not Alvin Kamara doing that here for the Saints? So
he's
the Saints, you know,
real talk, the balance that he had.
Yeah.
He is generational in my opinion. I genuinely think that Kamara is a generational running back.
Yeah.
And I think that we're what, because he reminds me of if you put Sproles on steroids.
Yeah, good
you know
point.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because he has the scat backness of Sproles, but like homie's strong, bro. He can run through the tackles. So I am
scary. When he's turned on, he's scary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think you need this to help kind of guide you through.
Yeah.
And I keep telling my Saints fans, man, like I know Dalton is not going to be the answer.
Yeah.
But give the man a chance, bro. Like he did it for us when he was playing here. Like we didn't win a shit ton of games, but he won games.
It's true.
You know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Not a bad point. We'll see what happens to the Titans. I mean, Titans could be one of those like quiet teams that just keeps winning. They're 5-2, just like the Vikings at 6-1, just kind of quietly doing their thing. We'll see what happens with them. All right. And tonight, who you got? Bengals or Browns? Is there any chance you're taking the Browns? I mean, we haven't been doing well on these Monday night predictions. Winston.
No, we haven't. We've been doing pretty bad, but I will take the Bengals, the Browns, because we're still how many weeks out from Deshaun Watson?
Oh, he's suspended for 11, so we're about 3 weeks away. 3 or 4 weeks away.
So he's still not involved, and even then, I don't think that they come out of the gate swinging. I think there's going to be a lot of growing pains there. I don't even want to see the kid play, but it would, you know what I'm saying? Like it would, I think the Bengals got this one. I'm going to give it by 2 scores, 10 points. Let's say 20-10.
20-10. Okay. I'm going to say 35-10. I think they absolutely stomped these Browns because I think the Bengals offense is rounding into shape. And the last 3 weeks have really shown that they're kind of figuring things out piece by piece. And so I think they come in and want to have a statement victory over a division rival, and especially one with a storied history of Cincinnati versus Cleveland. So it's a way to kind of state your case. So that's my prediction for tonight. We shall see.
Okay.
Let's move on to the NBA here. Winston, I want to get your thoughts on this, and feel free to say or not say what you feel about it. I just wanted to put it on the rundown here. The Kyrie Irving stuff is starting to blow up for these Nets, and the drama from last year seems to be rearing its ugly head again in a different way with Kyrie Irving at the center of it. You know, last year it was about the vaccinations and him having an issue with it, and so he wasn't able to play in New York because there were those shutdowns at the time. Or that people weren't allowed to perform their jobs if they weren't vaccinated for a little bit of the shutdown. So that affected them in the end, and they kind of imploded a little bit. And so Kevin Durant wanted to leave in the offseason. Then Kyrie Irving signed his extension to stay with the Nets, saying he was going to lead the Nets, and he wanted to be all about the Nets. And then Durant came back because there was no way they were going to trade him. And now this thing blew up over the last few days here with him tweeting out about a movie called Hebrews to Negroes, Wake Up Black America, which has some anti-Semitic stuff within it. He was challenged by an ESPN reporter about this. He claimed that he wasn't promoting it. He said, did I do anything illegal? Did I hurt anybody? Did I harm anybody? Am I going out and saying that I hate one specific group of people? And which was his defense. And he said he wasn't promoting anything just by tweeting it out. He's not promoting it, which is a heck of a stretch. Joe Tsai, who is the owner of the Nets, came out and said he was disappointed by Kyrie's tweets. The National Basketball League Players Association has not said anything. And then Kyrie took the tweet down last night. So this is just a lot of drama here with Kyrie, and the team is 1-5. He also posted something in support of Alex Jones's opinion about cults in America, or the occult in America, from a few years ago. He posted it a few days ago saying that he was right. So, but he said, I'm not campaigning with Alex Jones. I don't believe he was right about Sandy Hook. But still, why are you tweeting out about Alex Jones when you know he's a noted misinformation guy? So this seems like a lot of drama involved with Kyrie. And I wonder how much of this is worth the headache for the Nets and the NBA, to be honest with you. What are your feelings about all of this? And again, I say this, whatever you want to or not want to say on this, feel free. But I wanted to throw it out there for possible discussion.
I wasn't familiar with it. I really had kind of, so I just sped read this article just so I could try and get a basic understanding of what's happening. I think partially because, one, I've been so genuinely tired with the whole Kanye controversy.
Oh God, yeah, the controversy,
and have been at the forefront of yelling about how he's been out of control. I understand and agree with a number of black folks that are saying, well, why didn't this happen with the anti-blackness? With that, he would say, in the same breath, I immediately counter with, because too many black folks still, after he said slavery was a choice and the shit about Harriet Tubman, would turn around and buy Yeezys and then go and listen to Donda and would do all these things where we weren't holding him accountable. And there was somebody that said it pretty clearly. There's a number of white folks that don't want to get canceled themselves. So they're like, I'm not going to just all of a sudden uproot this contract if y'all haven't decided that either you fuck with them or you don't. If you let us know this ain't acceptable, then we're like, okay, bye. But that's not what was happening. So that's a whole other very much longer conversation. I know you do other shows, John, and maybe we could talk about that another time.
Yeah, sure.
But as far as Kyrie, I really wish he would just stop. Yeah. I'm not saying that someone shouldn't have a voice. I do wish that he would just stop, because the problem on top of that, I am not saying that if he was bawling like crazy, that would excuse his behavior. It does not.
Sure.
But it's kind of wild for somebody to continue to rock the fucking boat and to say and support horrific or stupid shit, and to be playing bad. You know what I'm saying? To also not be like that doesn't excuse a single thing. Let me make that very clear. I am not saying that if he was, putting out 50 a night and the Nets were undefeated, that would excuse Kyrie for supporting an anti-Semitic movie. That is not what I'm saying.
Right.
But I'm saying it looks doubly bad that you are spewing this nonsense and you're playing like shit, to the point where now, in my mind, all of a sudden you have zero kind of value. At the very least, if you were like bawling, then it becomes a hard conversation maybe for the organization about what you do. But bro, you've been nothing but a headache the entire time you've been up there. It has been, I'm not going to play in this game. I'm not going to play in that game. I'm not going to get a vaccine. The world is flat. I'm going to put this anti-Semitic movie up. You are literally nothing but a headache at this point. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. So I don't know the film. I'm not familiar with it. I'm not familiar because the only thing I read in this article that it has anti-Semitic tropes, that it's stuffed with them. I don't know specifically what we're talking about here. If people are saying it's bad, I believe it, but I don't want to speak from a place of just assumption because I am not familiar.
Absolutely. But
yeah.
Some of the stuff in the movie, some of the stuff behind this movement is, saying how when we teach slavery in schools, we don't teach about how Jewish people were involved in it and owned some of the boats that were taken. So there's a lot of accusations, a lot of stuff that comes through that. And I personally am not. Don't please, no one think I'm some kind of learned person about this. I've read as much as I've read, but I'm in no way an expert. But I understand the argument and the anger here, and I'm only speaking at it from a sports point of view, right? Like this idea of having someone like, and listen, it's not like Kyrie has just all of a sudden become a troublemaker. There have been issues with him in Boston. There were issues with him and LeBron in Cleveland, and so now there are rumors that he might be trying to do this so he can get sent to the Lakers. How does LeBron cover this up and go, and he comes to Los Angeles to play for the Lakers with all of this surrounding him? And yes, this weak excuse because you tweet a link out and you're not saying anything about it, that it's not somehow promoting it, is nonsense. If you use your massive platform and you tweet out a link to a movie by not saying anything, you're essentially condoning the movie. That's what you're doing. And you cannot hide behind the fact that I'm not promoting it. Don't say promotion if I didn't say people should watch it. That's a horseshit excuse and a fake shield. If you use your platform in that way, that's the thing. Now, if you tweet something out and say, look at this is terrible, then you're not promoting it. You're trying to destroy it. Or if you say this is great, then you're overtly promoting it. But tweeting it out, you're still promoting it because you're letting people go to this place and decide their own mind. So in a way, you're condoning whatever's in here. So you've got to take responsibility for that. And I agree with you. If I'm the Nets, I'm like, is this worth it? Is this all worth it when we're 1-5 and he can be someone else's headache? And if this was a white player tweeting out something about black experience or something, some racist tropes, the NBA PA would have come out by now and destroyed him. If this was Luka, they'd have gone after him like crazy. So to me, it bothers me that the NBA PA hasn't said anything, that none of the Nets players want to get involved in this, because you can't just stand up when it's convenient to stand up. And I'm not saying they only stand up when they're convenient, but this is a tough issue. This is your teammate. Teammates should call out other teammates when they're going in a different direction or direction that can be anti-Semitic. It just doesn't work. It's not a good look, and it's not good for your team. And if I'm Kevin Durant, I'm just like, I'm not playing anymore, guys. Like, fuck this shit. Trade him. I'm sitting for the rest of the season. Fuck this nonsense. Just pay me. And he would have every right to do that. Yeah.
It is crazy. I am one of the most protesting, revolution, all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
But my problem by far is the fact that all of this nonsense with Kyrie is with stuff that's just like off base, bro.
Yeah.
Like if you clearly are the type of person that is, you watch YouTube videos all day, but not actually do some real fucking research into the shit you're talking about, and your tweets and all that stuff have a negative impact on people.
You influence young men. You influence young children. Young children follow you, Kyrie. So those things you post, they will go and read it. And I know you think you're posting this stuff because you want to post this education, but what it could lead to, it's irresponsible, in my opinion, in that format, without context, without a real written, if you were to post this link and go see my article, I wrote it in, what was the one that Derek Jeter ran, the Players Tribune. I wrote a massive article explaining why I believe the way I believe, blah, 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 blah. Then you could, at least from an intellectual point of view, be like, okay, I see why he thinks the way he thinks. I see why he believes the way he believes. I don't like it, but I respect the fact that he believes this because he's explained it. But just posting it with no context, I think, is a little bit of a coward's way out. And I know he's a thinker, and he has stood up for Black Lives Matter. He has marched. He has protested. He has risked his membership in the NBA doing that. But by the same token, this kind of stuff, you have to stand up and take the hits. Going back and forth with a reporter, accusing of a reporter to trying to create Instagram clips for himself to kiss his own ass, I think is so beyond the pale. It just doesn't make any sense. And it really undercuts your stance overall on this whole thing because you're punching down and it doesn't make sense. So, in my opinion. Right, we'll see what happens. Man. We'll see what happens with that kind of shit. That kind of stuff, for sure.
Now, what's this thing with Joshua Primo? What the hell?
So we're moving on to slightly a little bit more lighthearted, but Joshua Primo has been waived by the San Antonio Spurs. They released him. He was the number 12 pick in the 2021 NBA draft. Apparently,
he was the number 1 pick.
He was the number 12 pick, number 12 pick in the 2020. But this stemmed from multiple alleged instances of him exposing himself to women. And this is a young man, and the team had recently picked up his $4.3 million extension. Now they've released him in this situation. He did say a statement. He said, "I know that you all are surprised by today's announcement. I've been seeking help to deal with previous trauma I suffered and will now take this time to focus on my mental health treatment more fully. I hope to be able to discuss these issues in the future so I can help others who have suffered in a similar way. I appreciate privacy in this matter." So this is, I don't know what to make out of this, man, because exposing yourself to women, clearly a terrible thing to do, but is it mental health related, or were you just being a bit of a fuck up and you got called out and you're using mental health as a cover? I don't know how to look at this story, man.
Yeah, that's actually a big conversation that I've been having with a few folks. Again, not to keep bringing up Kanye, but about Kanye, this idea of if he's going to act like an asshole and if he's going to be bigoted and all that kind of stuff, to blame that as a mental health thing. He could be in the middle of a mental health episode while it's happening.
Possibly, yes.
But the shit, it's what's the old saying? It's sober thoughts but drunk actions. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's the idea that sure, you're not in your right mind right now, but this was rooted somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so if we find out that maybe he was like molested or something when he was young, that's not our business per se, but if the root of his sexual deviance is because he was treated sexually deviantly towards him at some point in his childhood, that's awful. And, you know, I'm so sorry. That doesn't excuse you then perpetrating it on somebody else. Right. But at least we understand where it's coming from. So I didn't know much about this kid. I just heard that they were saying the NBA has a Deshaun Jackson, including the fact that some of the women that are suing him are being represented by the same lawyer, Busby or whatever his name is, who was representing a lot of the women against Deshaun. Yeah. So I'm very, very curious to see how this all plays out. But good on the Spurs for doing the bare minimum. Unlike the Browns, who decided to do the exact opposite.
True.
And reward shitty behavior that's being like touted in multiple cases. In this case, Primo's acting like an asshole, and they were like, "You can get gone, bro."
Yeah, that's true. One last thing, a little more lighthearted. Jake Paul beat Anderson Silva. What do we make with Jake Paul? What do we do here, Winston? Are we going to let him fight Canelo Alvarez?
Jake Paul won?
He beat Anderson Silva.
Wow.
I think it was by decision. He knocked him down a couple times. So where do we go? Where do we go with Jake Paul? He wants Canelo Alvarez is one of the two people he might fight next. What do we do with this guy, man?
I want him to, because if I remember correctly with Silva obviously is a former UFC champ and MMA legend, but if I remember correctly, boxing wasn't his main, or it was?
No, it wasn't his main thing.
I need him to fight a boxer. He's done a very good job of fighting fighters and constantly like getting those dubs, but like fight a boxer. Fight like God, what's I mean, you can't, I don't think, because of the weight class, but what's the, I don't follow a lot of boxing. What was the big like third matchup between those two big boys? The one white boy and you know what I'm talking about? Like the biggest heavyweights in the game, bro. They just had their third match like half a year ago.
Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. Is that
Let him fight one of them motherfuckers.
Oh yeah.
Let me see how you do against a Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. Like I would genuinely love to see something like that, bro. In the same way that like the whole Mayweather thing, it was clear that Mayweather was toying with his ass, but it was good money for it to make it seem like it was sort of close. Like really fight somebody, bro. Like a real boxer, not just a fighter or just an athlete, right? A world champion boxer. Let him school you real quick. Yeah. And if he doesn't get schooled, if he actually wins against somebody like that, and also not somebody that is out of their prime. Let's get somebody, they don't have to be in their prime, because maybe we're not like doing that, but an up-and-comer or somebody that just barely came off of a run like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Then I'll start being like, all right, Jake Paul, he's still good. He beat my ass. I'm not going to, let's be real.
Of course. Yes.
He'd whoop both our asses 6 days from Sunday.
True.
But as far as the word of boxing, what boxer have you fought?
Well, of course he can beat both of us. We're older. That's what he's been doing, beating all these older people.
But also, are you telling me that you're a
25.
trained fighter? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not. No way.
Dude,
no way.
He's been training as a boxer. He would beat the brakes off. It has nothing to do with age.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, I need my guy to fight a boxer.
Yeah, he 47 years old is how old Anderson Silva was, or what is, and Jake Paul's only 25, for God's sake. So it's old man strength can only take you so far. Now he wants to fight Nate Diaz, who is also a kind of past his prime MMA fighter, because Nate Diaz has been talking about a lot of shit. So we shall see in this whole situation. But I mean, this is just madness, just absolute madness. Yeah, as Mickey might say, tomato cans. You've been fighting tomato cans. So. Haskell sent in a Streamlab, and we'll wrap up here. He says, hey guys, congratulations, Winston, on your new Dairy Queen commercial that just dropped. And to you, John, for being featured on the Creed Instagram trailer reactions. What? Oh, that's nice. I didn't know that. Click on the Creed 3 logo and you'll see. Oh, that's awesome.
Wait. What happened?
They featured me, my trailer reaction in the Creed 3 trailer reaction compilation on the official Creed 3 page, I guess the Instagram page or something like that. So that's kind of cool.
That's dope.
Thank you very much for that. Letting me know there. I know they had reached out to me a couple of weeks ago about it, but I didn't know that it was up already. So that's very nice to see them highlighting me in that reaction. So there you go. It's cool stuff. All right. Well, that's a good way to end the show. Something positive for both of us.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for joining us. I know this was a little bit of a super long show. We usually try to keep it an hour and a half, but we're almost at 2. So thank you all so much for hanging out with us today. We hope you appreciate it. Have a safe and happy Halloween tonight. Please be safe. Don't take any of that rainbow fentanyl. And
dude, that was amazing. Look, I just saw you. Your ass talking about, holy shit, mother of God. That looked like, bro, way to go, man.
I'll take a look. And please hit a like on this video. We only have 71 likes. There's 100 left of you watching right now, so please hit a like on this video. Winston, another fun show, brother. Where can they find you, man?
You can find me everywhere the Swaggy Blurs are sold, man. You see my name right down there, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. I got to go and shoot my thrilling conclusion to last week's sports victims unit. Finn was kidnapped outside of a Chargers game. So we got to see how Sergeant Tutuola gets out of this one. So we got that. But for sure, check me over on YouTube and all that good stuff, man. We've been doing the reviews of Atlanta, which have you been watching, bro?
I am not caught up. So, but I will be watching.
The newest episode of Atlanta, holy shit.
I heard it has to do with the Goofy movie. So
it does. See it. Because black people have been saying it for forever. The Goofy movie is the blackest movie of all time, at least in Disney's lexicon. And they straight up made a fake documentary as to why a Goofy movie was made and why it is so unapologetically black. And this is maybe one of the funniest episodes of television I have ever seen.
All right.
So if you are watching Atlanta, definitely come back and come check out my reviews. But yes, everywhere you see the Swaggy Blur, man, please come and support. I appreciate you all. Otherwise, I will see you here. Oh, Capes and Cows as well over on the Christian Harlow channel.
Capes and Cows on Friday. That's right. And this is what you're looking for when you're looking for that commercial. This is what you're looking for, ladies and gentlemen, right there. Winston A. Marshall, signature stack burgers. Hell yeah. Nice stuff. Nice stuff. Go and get a peanut butter parfait as well. All right. Thank you all so much. You can follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, The Outlaw Nation on Twitch. Hit that subscribe button down below, trying to get to those 25,000 subscribers here very, very soon. So if you haven't subscribed, you enjoy the content, please, for the love of God, subscribe down below, hit that bell button. And what else? Leave a comment and leave a like. Those are so important here as we wrap up the show today. And look for the announcement coming out later this week of Game Time going on its own. The YouTube channel should be launched within a week or two. So look for that announcement. I might do an all day long live sports stream to try to convince people to subscribe to that channel so we can get it to a monetary status as soon as possible. I'm very much considering just taking an entire Monday and going from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. all day talking sports. We'll see if I can pull it off. But thank you all so much. Take care of yourselves. Be well. Have a happy Halloween, and we'll talk to you next time on another brand new episode of Game Time.